I dropped my husband off at the airport early that morning, trying to act normal even though my chest felt tight. The glass doors kept sliding open and shut, letting in cold air that smelled like coffee and strong cleaning spray. He kissed me on the cheek and smiled like this was just another simple trip. He told me he'd call as soon as he landed, and I nodded, forcing a small smile back. My 10-year-old stood close to me, quiet, watching him walk away with his bag, getting smaller and smaller until he disappeared into the crowd. On the drive back through London, I tried to fill the car with small talk. I pointed out a funny sign. I asked what they wanted for dinner. I even suggested hot chocolate and a movie night. But my child didn't answer the way they usually did. They stared out the window, their fingers twisting the seat belt strap again and again. I told myself they were just sad, that they missed him already, that kids feel things deeply and don't always have words for it. When we reached the street that led to our home, my child leaned forward, so close their whisper brushed my ear. Their voice sounded thin and shaky, like they were scared of the words themselves. "Dad, Mom, we can't go home," they said. "I heard Mom planning something bad for us." The sentence hit me so hard I almost missed the turn. For a moment I couldn't tell if my child meant something childish, like a surprise or a punishment, or something worse that didn't belong in a kid's mouth. I asked what they meant, trying to keep my tone light, but my hands were suddenly tight on the wheel. My child shook their head fast. "I'm not joking," they said. "I heard her on the phone. She said she would fix it when he was gone." She said it like she hated us. My stomach dropped, and the road in front of me blurred for a second. I felt heat rise in my face, then cold rush down my arms. I didn't go home. I kept driving past our turn as if I had made a simple mistake. I took us toward busy streets where people walked fast and didn't look at each other for long. I parked near a crowded row of shops and sat still, listening to the engine tick as it cooled. My child stayed low in the back seat, eyes wide, breathing shallow. I told myself I was only buying time, only thinking, only being careful. But deep inside, something ugly and real was waking up, and I could feel it pressing against my ribs like a warning. I stayed parked longer than I meant to, staring through the windshield like the glass could explain what my child had just told me. People passed by with shopping bags and coffee cups, moving in straight lines, laughing, checking their phones, living normal lives. I tried to borrow their calm, but it wouldn't stick to me. My child stayed small in the back seat, shoulders curled forward, eyes flicking to every person who came too close. I kept my voice soft. "You did the right thing telling me," I said, even though I wasn't sure what right looked like anymore. My hands trembled when I reached for my phone, and I hated that my child could see it. I checked the screen and saw a missed call from my husband. My first thought was relief. Call him, tell him, let him fix it. Then the fear came right after, sharp and fast. What if calling him made it worse? What if someone was watching the account, the phone plan, the location? I lowered the phone into my lap as if it were hot. My child whispered, "Don't. Please." That one word, please, held so much panic that it made my throat tighten. I didn't call. I turned the phone face down and tried to think like someone who wasn't scared. I told myself we only needed a short plan. Just a small plan. I could drive to a friend's house, but then I pictured my friend's address on a map, easy to trace. I could go to the police, but my mind flashed to questions I couldn't answer, to the shame of sounding confused, to the risk of being sent right back home if I couldn't prove anything. I could go to a hotel, but hotels asked for cards and names. Every option looked like a door that might lock behind us. So I stayed where I was, in the car, in the open, where I could leave fast if I had to. A couple walked past the front of the car, laughing. Behind them, a man stopped near the corner and leaned against the wall like he had all day. He didn't look at the shops the way people usually did. He looked at the road. He looked at the cars. Then he looked at mine. I told myself I was imagining it, that fear was turning strangers into threats. But my body didn't believe my own excuses. My shoulders went stiff, and my heart started pounding in my ears. Then my phone buzzed. A message popped up from a number I didn't recognize. "Where are you?" I felt like the air left the car. My fingers hovered over the screen, but I didn't touch it. My child made a small sound, like a gasp they were trying to swallow. I watched the man at the corner lift his phone to his ear. He spoke, then he turned slowly, scanning the street. Scanning the line of parked cars. Scanning as if he expected one of them to move. His gaze landed on my windshield again, and I couldn't breathe properly. In that moment, I understood something in a way I had never understood it before. Danger doesn't always announce itself.
Sometimes it looks like a man standing still.
Sometimes it looks like someone with a phone who doesn't belong to your life, yet somehow knows how to find your fear. I kept my eyes forward, but I could feel sweat at the back of my neck. My child slid down lower in the seat, trying to hide behind the headrest, like being unseen could make them safe. I wanted to start the car and drive away, but I was scared that sudden movement would pull attention like a string.
I forced myself to be slow.
I breathed in once, shaky, and put my hand on the gear stick without jerking.
I checked my mirrors like a normal person would.
I waited as two more people passed the car, one with a backpack, one carrying a paper bag. The man at the corner kept talking into his phone, and his eyes kept darting. Every second stretched like it was being pulled apart. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same number, "Don't make this hard."
My stomach twisted. My hands went colder.
I didn't answer.
I didn't even unlock the phone.
I simply turned the screen off and set it in the cup holder like it was nothing. I was trying to act calm for my child, but inside my mind was screaming.
I didn't know who was texting me.
I didn't know how they got my number.
I didn't know what hard meant.
But my body knew one thing for sure, staying in that spot was no longer safe. I waited until the man looked away, just a slight turn, a small moment of distraction, and I started the engine. The sound felt too loud, like a shout in a quiet room. My child flinched, but didn't speak. I eased out of the parking space slowly, like I had all the time in the world. I forced my face into a blank expression, even though my jaw ached from clenching. I turned into traffic, blended in, and drove like a normal person with normal plans. Only when we were a few streets away did I let myself breathe deeper.
My hands still shook on the wheel.
I didn't know if anyone was following, and I didn't want to check too much and make it obvious. I took random turns. I circled around places with lots of cars. I changed lanes calmly. I watched the mirrors, not staring, just glancing. Once, I thought I saw the same dark car behind us, and my heart jumped, but then it turned off at a different street. I didn't know if I was safe, but I knew I had to keep moving. My child finally spoke, voice tiny. "I'm sorry," they said.
"No," I said quickly, too quickly. "Don't say that. You're not in trouble.
You helped me." I reached back with one hand, still driving, and my fingers found theirs for a second.
Their skin was cold.
The fact that my child was cold made me angry in a new way, angry at whoever was doing this, angry at myself for not seeing something sooner, angry at a world where a kid had to whisper fear in the back seat.
We drove until the sky started to dim.
I picked a place that looked plain and forgettable, somewhere no one would brag about staying. A small building with tired curtains and a sign that flickered like it didn't fully believe in itself. I parked where I could see the entrance and the street at the same time. I told my child to keep their hood up and stay close. We walked in like we belonged there, like this was a normal stop in a normal day.
The receptionist barely looked up.
I asked for a room for one night, speaking clearly, not too nervous, not too friendly. I paid $120 in cash, my fingers stiff as I counted it out. Cash felt like the only honest thing left. No signals, no trails, no shared accounts. The key was small and light in my hand, but it felt like a turning point. Inside the room, the air smelled faintly of soap and old fabric. The bedspread was patterned and rough. My child stood near the door, still tense, like they expected someone to burst in.
I checked the lock twice.
I looked out the window and memoized what I could see, the street lamp, the parked cars, the way the shadows moved when someone passed. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and finally let the silence speak. "Tell me exactly what you heard," I said. My child took a deep breath, and their eyes filled, but they didn't cry. "I heard her in the kitchen," they said.
"She thought I was asleep."
She said once you dropped Dad off, it would be easier.
She said we wouldn't fight if we didn't know.
And she talked about money, like she was planning it.
They looked down at their hands.
I didn't understand all the words, but I understood the way she said them. Like she was excited.
I felt my face go numb.
My brain wanted to reject it, to call it impossible, to call it a misunderstanding. But my child's fear was too real, too sharp. And those messages, that man, that timing, it all lined up like pieces I didn't want to touch.
I wrapped my arms around my child and held them tight.
They clung to me like they were afraid I might disappear.
That night, I didn't sleep much.
I lay beside my child, listening to every sound in the hallway, every distant car door, every footstep that slowed near our room.
I kept my phone off. I kept the lights low.
And I made myself a promise in the dark. Whatever this was, whatever had started moving behind my back, I would not be easy to catch.
I would not be quiet in the way danger wanted. But for now, I stayed quiet in the only way that mattered. I stayed quiet so we could live.
That night, after my child finally fell asleep, I sat in the stiff chair by the window and stared at the street like it was a test I couldn't fail.
The room was quiet, but my mind wasn't.
Every little sound felt loud. The soft hum from the hallway light, the click of a heater turning on, the faint roll of a car tire outside. I kept thinking about that unknown message, "Where are you?" and the way the man on the corner scanned the cars like he was looking for a lost item that mattered. I didn't know if I was being watched anymore, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had already started, and I was late to the story. I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone, then hesitated.
I held it like it could bite me.
My child had begged me not to call, and I listened, but I still needed to act. If someone could reach me through my number, they could reach me through anything connected to our family.
That thought made my stomach twist.
I turned the phone on for the shortest time possible and went straight to our accounts.
I didn't scroll. I didn't wonder.
I moved like I was walking through a room full of sharp glass. First, I stopped every autopay I could find. Bills, subscriptions, deliveries, anything that could show a pattern, anything that could send a notice to our home address, anything that could create a trail.
Then I locked our shared cards and removed them from every saved payment list.
I changed passwords using a new phrase that no one could guess, not even someone who knew my habits. My hands shook the whole time, but I didn't stop. Fear kept trying to freeze me, and I kept pushing through it like pushing through heavy rain. After that, I cancelled the family plans that linked us together, one by one. The phone plan, the shared cloud storage, the location sharing. It hurt in a strange way, like cutting cords that were supposed to keep a family close. But now those cords felt like ropes that could pull us back into danger. Each time I hit confirm, a small warning popped up. "Are you sure?
You may lose access."
I whispered, "Yes," under my breath, like I was answering someone in the dark. When I was done, I turned the phone off again.
I didn't want it to light up with another message. I didn't want it to betray us with a sound.
I sat still for a moment and listened to my own breathing, trying to make it slow.
Then I took out the little notepad from my bag.
I didn't know why I had brought it, but now it felt important, like writing something down could make me real again. I wrote a note in plain, easy words, not angry and not soft, just sharp enough to cut through lies. I wrote, "Just a small mistake."
I stared at it until the words started to blur.
The sentence looked harmless, like a joke, like nothing.
But it wasn't nothing. It was my way of saying I knew something was wrong without giving away everything I knew. It was a tiny blade hidden in a smile.
It was also a message to myself. I will not pretend this is normal. Before I put the note away, I counted the cash I had left. I separated $300 into an envelope and tucked it deep inside my bag. I kept the rest in a different pocket. I promised myself I would not rely on cards unless I had no other choice. Money wasn't just money anymore. It was movement. It was time. It was the power to leave quickly. I waited until the street outside went quieter and the hallway sounds faded. Then I slipped out for a few minutes, hood up, head down, moving like I was just another tired person who couldn't sleep. I went to a late-night shop and bought a prepaid phone for £45, paying in cash. The clerk didn't care who I was. That was the best thing in the world, being nobody for a moment. Back in the room, I hid the new phone and placed my old one at the bottom of my bag, powered off, wrapped in a scarf like it was something dangerous. I checked the lock again. I checked the window. I checked the room like I could make it safe by looking hard enough. Then I lay down beside my child and watched their face in the dim light. They looked younger when they slept, like the fear hadn't touched them yet. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. I didn't know if we had hours or days. But I knew I had made the first moves, quiet and careful, like stepping off a cliff and trusting the air to hold me. And as I closed my eyes, I made one more promise, steady this time. Whatever comes next, I will not take my child back into the place where fear started. In the morning, I woke up before my child and lay still for a moment, listening. No shouting outside the door. No fast footsteps in the hallway. Just the low hum of the building waking up, pipes clicking softly, someone's distant TV turning on. My muscles hurt like I had been holding myself tight all night, because I had. I got up carefully, packed our things fast, and made sure nothing important was left in the room. I didn't want to leave a trail, not even a small one. Before we walked out, I folded the note one last time in my hand and let the words burn in my head, just a small mistake. Then I left it behind and closed the door like I was closing a chapter of my old life. We ate a simple breakfast from a small shop on the corner. 2 pastries and 2 bottles of water, paid in cash, no questions, no names. I spent £8 and kept my head down while my child took small bites, looking around like they didn't trust the morning. I hated that look. I wanted to give them the kind of day that felt normal, where the biggest worry was homework or a rainy weekend. But normal was a luxury we didn't have right now. All I could do was keep moving and keep my voice calm, even when my thoughts were loud. I chose a train station that didn't feel like ours. Not our usual routes, not our usual stops. I stood in line and bought tickets with cash, making myself breathe slow, making my face look boring and tired. The platform was crowded with people who didn't know me, and for the first time since yesterday, that crowd felt like a shield. My child stayed close to my side, holding my sleeve, and I whispered our new rules as if they were a bedtime story. We don't tell anyone where we are going. We don't answer unknown calls. If you feel scared, you squeeze my hand. If I say we leave right away. My child nodded, serious, like they understood the weight of every word. When the train moved, London began to slide away outside the window. Buildings became smaller. Streets became unfamiliar. My child pressed their forehead to the glass and watched the world change. After a while they turned to me and asked, "Are we going to be okay?" I didn't lie with a perfect promise, because I couldn't. But I also didn't let fear take the whole truth. "We're going to be careful," I said. "And we're going to stay together. That's how we win." I saw their shoulders loosen a little, and I held onto that tiny change like it was gold. We arrived in a place that felt plain enough to hide in. Not empty, not fancy, just busy in a quiet way. People came and went, carrying groceries, pushing strollers, talking about small things. I found a weekly room rental where the owner didn't ask for a long story. They wanted payment up front. And that was it. I paid $420 for the week and made sure the room was simple. 1 bed, 1 chair, a small table, and curtains that closed all the way. I checked the locks, checked the window, and memoized the quickest way out. It wasn't comfort, but it was a place to breathe. That afternoon, I tried to build something that felt like life again. We went for a short walk, just 2 streets, then back. I bought fruit and bread with cash, simple food that didn't draw attention. I gave my child a small job, because jobs can turn fear into focus. "You watch the door when I unpack," I said. "If anyone knocks, you don't answer. You come to me." They did it perfectly, standing tall, trying to be brave, and my heart broke a little because they shouldn't have to be brave like that. At night, when my child slept, I sat on the edge of the bed with the prepaid phone in my hand. I didn't scroll through old messages. I didn't check social apps. I didn't search for comfort in old photos. I only wrote down a plan on paper, in small steps, because big plans felt impossible. Find a safe routine. Keep money separate. Stay in public places. Change locations if anything feels wrong. I wrote it in easy words, as if I was writing to myself from the future, reminding myself how to survive. I looked out the window at the dark streets and let myself think about Europe as more than a word. Europe felt wide and open, not because it was perfect, but because it gave me room to move. Room to disappear if I needed to. Room to start over in small pieces. I didn't know how this would end, and I didn't know who was behind the messages or the waiting eyes. But I knew one thing clearly now. I had listened to my child when it mattered most. I had acted before fear could turn into tragedy. And even though I still felt scared, I also felt something else, quiet and steady, growing in my chest like a new kind of strength. Not loud strength. Not the kind that makes speeches. The kind that packs a bag before dawn, buys a ticket with cash, holds a child's hand, and keeps walking forward.